अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः.
Namaskar, this is Tulja Bhavani. I welcome you all to my online class in law, especially to the wing of business law. Dear viewers, this is our third class 003. Before we enter into our class, let us have a recap of what we have learned in our previous class 002. We have learned about the meaning and definition of mercantile law, sources of mercantile law, then the Indian Contract Act 1872 we have learned. Then we have learned about the meaning and definition of contract, agreement, enforceability, difference between agreement and enforceability. Now, today we are going to learn about the various essential elements of a valid contract. Dear viewers, in our previous class, I told you that to make a contract, we need agreement and enforceability. Agreement and enforceability makes the contract valid. Enforceability is the life of the contract. Without enforceability, you cannot sue the other party. The aggrieved party cannot sue the other party and it cannot claim the damages. We have even learned about that all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contracts. Dear viewers, I have even given you the example saying that all M.Com students are B.Com students, whereas all B.Com students are not M.Coms. Because a person who does his B.Com may have many options before him. He may go for his post-graduation in M.Com or in MA or in MBA or in MCA. Whereas a M.Com done person has come only from BCom. He cannot come from BSc because to do MCom, the basic qualification is BCom. So here, all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contracts. So to form contracts, there are certain essential elements required. So what are those essential elements which makes a contract valid? So here are the presentations in the form of PPTs which I have brought for you. So let us have a look into it. Right. So, right, dear viewers. Now, let me show you the animation of this slideshow. Customs slideshow, then from the beginning. Right, you're sharing the screen. Essentials of a valid contract. This is my introduction. Let us go to essentials of a valid contract, features of a valid contract. Dear viewers, according to Section 10 of the Indian Contract Act 1872, all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of the parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration and with a lawful object and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. We have started with agreement, all agreements. So agreement, as I told in my previous class, agreement means offer plus acceptance. Then contracts, I have written, to form contracts, there must be an agreement and enforceability. So all agreements are contracts if they are made by the free consent of the party. Consent means approval. The approval of either of the parties to contract should come voluntarily, should come freely without any force, either physical or mental. Then free consent of the parties, competent to contract for a lawful consideration. So those parties who are entering into contract, they must be competent to contract. It means they should have the eligibility to enter into contract. Anybody cannot enter into contract. They should have the eligibility to enter into contract. Who are those persons who are eligible to enter into contract? We will learn in our today's class. For a lawful consideration, consideration is the pillar of the contract. Consideration means something in return. So when we are making contract, so obviously we receive the consideration. So whatever consideration I am giving or I am receiving, that should be a lawful consideration. And with the lawful object, the very object of our contract should be lawful object and are not hereby expressly declared to be void. Whatever agreements I am making, whatever contracts I am making, that contract should not be declared void by the law in practice. Next slide. Right. Points concluded from the definition. So whatever definition we have seen just now, from there, the following points are grasped. They have been taken out. So what are those points? First one is offer and acceptance. Then comes consensus addendum, identity of mind. Then comes intention to create legal relationship, capacity to contract, free consent, lawful consideration, lawful object, certainty of meaning and terms, possibility of performance, agreement expressly declared to be void, legal formalities. Dear viewers, all these elements are in the form of chapter in the subject business law. So here in our present class today, what we are doing, we are going to learn about them in brief. We are not entering into what is offer, what are the essentials of valid offer. We are not learning them in deep. So each of these elements have separate chapter. So we are grasping only the summary of those chapters in brief, in a short form. And in exam, if you look into the BCom paper or LLB first year paper, you find that the first question which appears in the question paper is, what is contract? What are the essential elements of a valid contract? So these are the 11 essential elements of a valid contract. We are going to explain, we are going to learn about these concepts now. Now let us move into one each of these points, one after the another. The first one is offer and acceptance. Dear viewers, the first point, the first step in the formation of a contract is offer and acceptance. So there must be two parties to make an offer. I cannot call myself as Tulja Bhavani. There must be somebody who has to call me Tulja Bhavani. So I cannot make a contract with my own self. So I require two peoples to make contract. There is a need of two peoples to make a contract. The person who makes the offer is called as offerer. The person to whom the offer is made is called as the offeree. Let us take the example of our screen. Here you can see two people. Let us name these two peoples. The person who is sitting on the left hand side is called as Sunil Naidu, and the person who is sitting on the right hand side is called as Rohit Rajan. So these are the two people who are friends. So they are friends and they do some businesses also together. So they are dealing with some commercial transaction. So Sunil Naidu is having a laptop named as Sony Vaio. So he is offering his laptop to Mr. Rohit Rajan and asking his concern. Sunil Naidu is saying, hello Rohit Rajan, I'm interested to sell my laptop. Will you buy my laptop for 50,000 rupees? Rohit Rajan has accepted the proposal. So here Sunil Naidu is called as the offerer. He is also called as the promiser, proposer. And after getting the acceptance from Rohit Rajan, Mr. Sunil is also called as the acceptee. Now here Rohit Rajan is the person who has accepted the offer. So he is the person known as the offeree, promisee, proposee, and acceptor. So whatever are the terms and conditions of this contract has to be written properly and they have to be communicated properly. This was about offer and acceptance. Next slide. Consensus addendum, identity of mind. Dear viewers, whether you remember or not, in our previous class, I have given you the example of Genie, Aladdin, and Abu. So when Aladdin is in problem, and apart from him, his monkey is accompanying him, and the name of that monkey is Abu. So Aladdin and Abu, in that situation, they are thinking of Genie. That Genie is the person who can take us out of this problem. So here, the subject matter of their thinking is Genie. So both these Aladdin and Abu should think of the subject matter in the same sense and in the same direction. Abu is thinking of Genie and Aladdin is also thinking of Genie. So here there is consensus addendum, identity of mind exists. Now, another example I will give, the same example, Aladdin, Genie, and Abu. Dear viewers, you all know that the heroine of Aladdin is Princess Jasmine. So when Aladdin is in problem, here Aladdin is thinking of Genie, but the person, his friend, Abu is thinking that 24 into 7, Aladdin is busy in thinking about Jasmine. So here, identity of mind is not present. In reality, Aladdin is thinking about Genie, but Abu is thinking that Aladdin is thinking about Jasmine. So Aladdin is thinking about Genie, and Abu is thinking about Aladdin, thinking about his princess Jasmine. So there is no consensus addendum. Now let us come to our present slide. Here you can see a car having three colors: white, orange, and blue. So these are the three cars which our uncle has, and this uncle wants to sell his car to his nephew. So in the mind of uncle, white color car is going on. Uncle is thinking that white color looks to be very stylish and very classic, and it is the best suitable car for my nephew. So I want to sell this car to my nephew. Here the nephew is thinking that it is better now. The trendy color car is orange color car, so I would like to buy the orange color car. Here a contract is made by uncle to his nephew with regard to car. So the subject matter of our contract is the car, and both these parties are thinking about the same subject matter, but they are thinking about the car in different directions. In the mind of uncle, white car is going on. In the mind of the nephew, orange color car is going on. So here both the parties are thinking about the same subject but in different direction. So there is no consensus addendum. In the absence of consensus addendum, the contract becomes null and void. इस contract की कोई मान्यता नहीं होगी. Then comes intention to create legal relationship. Dear viewers, in our previous class, I told you that social, domestic, moral, and religious agreement do not give any scope for legal relationship. When they are entered, the parties entering into contract will think that the contract is not enforceable because there exists no legal relationship. But in case of commercial contracts, legal relationship exists. Now, what is this legal relationship? It means that if either of the party to the contract, the promisor and the promisee, if both of them or if either of them fails to perform their legal obligation, then the other party, the aggrieved party, has a right to approach the court and can claim the damages or can make the other party to perform their obligations. Here you can see a businessman contracting with a woman. Right, it is a commercial contract, it can be enforced. Then here, a superman and a child. It is a domestic contract. As per our previous class, I said that it is a contract which is made between a father and a child. The father, for every child, his father is a superman, his father is a superhero. So he asked his father to purchase him and to gift him a bicycle. But his father said, definitely I'll gift you the bicycle only if you pass in your exam. So the child, he is making day and night one and he's struggling like anything. So he not only clears all the subject, but he tops the school. So his father failed to gift him the car. Now the child cannot file any case against his father because it is a domestic agreement. Below that we have a holy festival and a religious related picture you can find. So if you hear my previous class, you can understand it very well. So these are the domestic, social, moral and religious agreement which do not give any scope for legal relationship. When there are no legal relationship, the contract cannot be enforced. When the contract cannot be enforced, the aggrieved party cannot claim the damages. Next slide. Capacity to contract. Dear viewers, capacity to contract means the parties who are eligible to enter into contract. Who are the people who are eligible to enter into contract? In simple language, a major can enter into a contract. A person of sound mind can enter into contract. A person who is qualified by law can enter into contract. But here in the slide, I have written the opposite things, that these are the peoples who cannot be entered into contract. Who are those people? Means a minor, person of unsound mind, persons disqualified by law in practice. Here you see the graphics what I have put here. One is Gajini, another one a person inside the bar, inside the jail you can say. Then people consuming alcohol. Then on the right hand side, children are playing, and you can find a globe where the flag of China is flowing in the air. Now let us know who is a minor. Dear viewers, minor is a person who is below the age of 18 years. The minority extends to 21 years if a guardian of a minor person's or property is appointed under the Guardians and Wards Act of 1890. So a person, simple language में a person जिस किसी भी व्यक्ति की उम्र 18 साल से कम है, वह व्यक्ति नाबालिग कहलाता है. He is a minor. Right. Now, there is a very famous case when the matter of minor comes. So, we will discuss about these cases in our future classes when we enter in deep into the subject with regard to contracts made with a minor. So, there is a very famous case known as Mohiri Bibi versus Dharmodas Ghosh. Dear viewers, there are certain exceptions available for making contract with a minor. So what are those exceptions? We will learn in our coming days. So here I'll give you the example of a minor entering into contract. Let us assume that a minor, a small boy of 12 years, he is in need of 10,000 rupees. So what he has done, he has gone to a pawnbroker and he has taken a loan of 10,000 rupees. The pawnbroker has given the amount to him on a condition that the child has to refund the amount within 15 days. Even after 1 month, the child did not refund the amount. So what the pawnbroker has done, he has gone to the court and filed a case against the court. The court gave the judgment. The court said that, hello, Mr. Pawnbroker, don't you know that a contract made with a minor is void ab initio? You are not supposed to enter into contract with a minor. Why you are not supposed to enter into a contract with a minor? Because he is a boy who is less than 18 years of age. He is just a boy of 12 years. He cannot understand the true meaning of the terms of the contract. So any contract which you are making with a minor is void ab initio. It cannot be enforced. It is void from the beginning. So Mr. Pawnbroker, you cannot recover your amount back. Right. Then comes persons of unsound mind. Who are the persons who are of unsound mind? Unsound mind means people who are in mental state, who are mentally ill. So persons of unsound mind are categorized into four types. First one are lunatics, then are idiots, then are drunkards, and hypnotism. Now, lunatic. Lunatic means what? A person who behaves mentally occasionally. Generally, he is very fine. But sometimes, when something comes in his mind, suddenly he becomes mad. He behaves like a mad. You can see our Gajini. You know, he forgets everything and whatever he wants to, जिस किसी से भी उसे बदला लेना है वो उनका नाम लेता है, उनकी पिक्चर लगा लगा कर फिरता है. तो ये जनरली ये अच्छा ही है, मगर कभी कभी इसको पागलपन के दौरे पड़ते हैं. सो ऐसे व्यक्ति को हम लोग कहते हैं lunatic person. So you are not supposed to enter into contract with a lunatic person. But when this person comes into sound mind, you can enter into contract. Next one are the idiots. Idiot is a person who has completely lost his mental power. So he cannot think by himself. He is totally mad. He is his mentality is just like a minor child. So if you are entering into contract with a minor child or with an idiot, both these contracts, both these agreements are void ab initio. Then comes the drunkards. You can see two people drinking in the bar. So drunkards are those people who lose their balance of mind after consuming something which is intoxicated in the drink. So these people, they cannot enter into contract when they are in the drunkard stage. So these people cannot enter into contract. If you say something, they say something. They are in their own world. So when they become normal, at that time you can enter into contract with these people. Right. Till then you are not supposed to enter into contract. Then comes hypnotism. Hypnotism is a process of controlling the mind, controlling the thought of a person by making that person to sleep mentally. Here, whatever I am dictating, that person is doing the same thing. If I say, come on, close your eyes. Are you able to see the moon? Are you able to see your past? He says, yes. Now you are going slowly, slowly, slowly in your past life. Now so and so person is trying to do like this. He has come in your life. I say, yes, I'm able to see that. So this is called as hypnotism, where the person is made to sleep mentally and his thoughts are being controlled. Even you are not supposed to enter into contract with such kind of people. Now comes persons disqualified by law in practice. Who are those persons who are disqualified by law in practice? First one are the alien enemies. Now who is a alien? Alien is a person who belongs to the other world or who belongs to the other country. So we are not supposed to enter into a contract with an alien enemy. Right. Here you can see a world map or a globe wherein the flag of China is flying in the air. Dear viewers, due to this pandemic, situation of COVID-19, majority of the states have stopped their trading with China, including few of the apps are being banned in our nation. Right. Now, let us go to the other persons who are disqualified by law in practice are the foreign sovereigns, their diplomatic staff, and accredited representatives of foreign trade. All these categories of people have special privilege in India and they cannot be sued in India. So next comes corporations, convicts. You can see a person who is behind the bar, insolvent persons. These are the persons with whom you cannot enter into contract. Then comes president, ministers, and heads of government. Dear viewers, even you are not supposed to enter into contract with these people in personal. In general, you can enter. They can enter the contract on behalf of government of India, on behalf of their state, etc. But they cannot enter into their personal contracts with you. Now let us go to the next slide. It is free consent. Free consent. Free means something which comes voluntarily. Consent means approval. So any approval given by either of the party to the contract should be free. So it means you should not apply either physical force or mental force in getting the approval of the parties. Let us take the example of old Hindi or Telugu movies. I'll take the example of old Hindi movies. In olden times, a girl has fallen in love with a boy and she wants to marry him. But when his father comes to know, his father, what he does, he tries to perform the arranged marriage of the girl and he gets the consent of the girl by saying that क्या बोलता है वो he says घर से दो चीजें तो घर से जरूर निकलेंगी या तो मेरी अर्थी निकलेगी या तो तेरी डोली निकलेगी अब बेटा तू ही डिसाइड कर ले कि घर से क्या निकलने वाला है अब बेटी बेचारी क्या सोचेगी why should I see my father being dead because of my marriage. So let me compromise my love and let me marry the person whom my father likes. So she is giving her consent. She is giving her approval with mental force, not with physical force. Physically, his father is not beating her, but he is mentally forcing her to accept the boy. Now, first one is co-erection. A consent is said to be free if it does not have the following things. What are the things should not be present in a contract? First one is co-erection, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. Now, what is this co-erection? Co-erection means getting the consent of a person by using some force, either physical force or by threatening. I'm beating you or I am threatening you. If you don't agree to whatever I say, I will kill you. Or beating that person. You are either beating or you are threatening to beat and getting the consent of that person. It is called as co-erection. Then comes undue influence. Undue influence in simple language, it means getting the approval of a person by making use of special position or special relationship exist between the parties where one party is in a position to dominate the will of the other party. Example, I am in a position to dominate the will of my child. Yes, I'm in a position to dominate the will of my child because it's a birthright given to my child that I should control all his wills and do's, etc. So what I am doing, if my child is in need of something, I say don't buy this. This is not good for you. You please buy this. I am forcing my will on my child because of my relationship. So that is called as undue influence. So here you can see a boss. He is a blue shirt person. He is trying to dictate his office people and he is telling them do whatever I say. So next comes fraud. Fraud means misrepresentation of a fact with a view to cheat the other people. Here my intention is cheating the people. What I am saying, I am not telling the fact, I am misrepresenting the fact. मैं झूठ बोल रही हूँ. क्यों झूठ बोल रही हूँ? क्योंकि लोगों को मैं माई इंटेंशन इज टू चीट द पीपुल. मैं लोगों को चीट करना चाहती हूँ, मैं उनको धोखा देने के लिए ही झूठ बोल रही हूँ, क्योंकि मेरा इंटेंशन है प्रॉफिट कमाना. अगर मैं हर एक को सच्चाई बताते बैठूं तो मैं प्रॉफिट कैसे कमाऊंगी? लेट अस assume that I am in, if you go to some China bazaar, China market exhibition, if you come to exhibition of Hyderabad, there something is displayed to you. So when you take something, onion cutter, let us take the example of onion cutter. When the person is cutting the onions are being cut very well. And when we go to home after purchasing, if we are doing in the same process, onions, we can't cut the onions in the same way. And the whatever we have cut, that will not get the shape of what that person has done. So it is a fraud. Then comes misrepresentation. Misrepresentation means a person believing that something is true and he is representing whatever he knows to be true, and his intention is not to cheat others. Let us have an example of a fruit vendor. A fruit vendor does not know that the watermelons are not red in color and they are not sweet. He purchased from Mojanjahi market or some market where he was told that the fruits are very sweet and red in color. So what the fruit vendor is doing, he is believing, and the same he is telling to the public. His intention is not to cheat others. Then comes mistake. Mistake means what? Mistake means believing. Mistake means what? The party to the contract wrongly believes it to be true. Improper understanding of the terms of the contract. I did not understand, I did not have the proper understanding of the term, and I believe that whatever I know is true. Now let us assume, let us have an assumption that one person, you can find a person who is carrying some food item with him. So he makes a call to the restaurant saying that I want one family pack of mutton biryani. So what nowadays is happening is we are not getting, in majority of the restaurants, there are not no proper mutton usage is there, so they are mixing mutton with some xyz thing, I don't want to name it. So majority of the people are, instead of ordering mutton biryani, they are ordering for chicken biryani. So the person who received a call, in his mind there is a thought that, oh, majority of the people are asking for chicken biryani, so maybe he has also ordered for chicken biryani, and he's taking the chicken biryani parcels with him. In fact, the person who made an order has ordered for mutton biryani, but wrongly, mistakenly, he is carrying the chicken biryani. So, if any of the above five things are present in the contract, then the contract becomes flaw in consent and it makes the contract void. If these five elements are not there in any contract, it is a free consent. If these five elements, all five elements, or any one of the element is present in a contract, then it becomes flaw in consent. Next slide. Lawful consideration. Now, dear viewers, consideration, as I said, consideration is the pillar of the contract. Consideration means something in return, that something should have value in the eyes of law. So consideration is the price for the contract, and in Latin language it is known as quid pro quo. So the consideration should be a legal consideration. Let us assume, and consideration, both the parties to the contract should get the consideration. Now here let us take the example of a house and two people talking there. So the person wearing a blue color tie is called as Mokshit, and the person with red tie is called as Harshit. So here Mokshit wants to sell his house to Harshit for a price of 2 crore rupees, for which Harshit has accepted. So here Mokshit is getting 2 crore rupees and Harshit is getting the house. So consideration for Mokshit is 2 crore rupees, Harshit is the house. So to make it valid and enforceable. So the consideration should be legal consideration, then only it will be valid and then only it will be enforceable. Dear viewers, please remember that no consideration, no contract. If there is no consideration, then there is no contract. Here we have a maxim known as ex nudo pacto non oritur action. It means out of a nude fact, no cause of action arises. So here the word, what is that word is nudo pactum. Nudo pactum is a Latin word which means naked promise. So ex nudo facto non oritur action. It comes from the Latin word nudum pactum, which means a naked promise. Dear viewers, a contract where no consideration is given, it is very difficult to prove that the contract was made. Let us assume there is no contract made between me and you. I have come voluntarily to teach you. You have come voluntarily to hear my classes. So here there is a contract, but there is an agreement. There is an agreement. There is no enforceability. There is no consideration. You are receiving my teachings. You are listening to my classes, but I am not receiving anything from you. When I don't receive anything from you, and in future if I stop teaching to you, you cannot file a case against me because I didn't receive any consideration from you. So here it means, what it means, gratuitous promises which are made out of natural love and affection cannot be enforced in the court of law unless and until they are made in deeds. It means what? If my father wants to give me the house, out of natural love and affection, it will be valid, it will be enforceable only if my father writes a gift deed. Without gift deed, whatever my father has given is not valid. Of course, if my brother wants to challenge, then that has to be written. If my brothers also do not have any objection, then it is okay. Now, lawful object, whatever is the object of the contract, that should be lawful. It should not be illegal, it should not be immoral, it should not be opposed to public policy. Illegal, let us take one example. Here you can see a dabang police officer and a person carrying a weapon. Being in police department, every police officer has a right to carry the gun with him for his personal protection. License is given for them for carrying the gun. Whereas for this fellow, there is no license given, but still he is carrying some weapon. So carrying weapon is an illegal act. Then immoral. Immoral means something which is against the society. So here, you can see women's dancing. These are the prostitutes. So let us take one example where Mr. A has given his house for rent to a woman who is a prostitute, knowingly that his house will be used for prostitution purpose. Now the lady stopped paying the rent to that house owner. The house owner cannot file a case against him because the contract, the agreement made between them was immoral. So it is not enforceable in the court of law. Who told you to give? When she is not in a position to give, you cannot file a case against her. Then comes opposed to public policies. There are certain agreements which are opposed to public policies. Like let me take one example. You can see congratulations and a person receiving some award. Let us assume that he is a hero. He is being nominated for some movie and he got the best actor award. So let us assume that there was some agreement made between this fellow and the people who are deciding the awarding category. So what he said, if you give me the award, I am going to give you 1 crore rupee. So this person received the award, and after receiving, he did not pay 1 crore rupee to that committee. So that committee, it cannot file a case against this hero because whatever nomination was made was opposed to public policy. Right. I can even give you the example of jobs. Let us assume that I am in a very high position wherein the father of a child comes and he says, Madam, you are the officer of so and so, what you say, organization. If you appoint my son in an accountant position, I will pay you 1 lakh rupee. Here I am taking the bribe, which is opposed to public policy. What I have done, I said that first let me appoint your son. The opposite person is saying that first you give me the appointment order, later I will give you the amount. I have given the appointment order, that person failed to give the amount. Now I cannot file a case against him because the agreement made between him and me was opposed to public policy. I have taken the bribe, so I cannot file a case. Now note, the presence of the above element makes the agreement void. So if any of the above three elements are present in a contract, it becomes void. Now comes certainty of meaning and terms. Dear viewers, you can see a car here, a person thinking, and a person gazing. So whatever are the terms of the contract, they should be clear. They should not be vague, uncertain, indefinite, ambiguous. So here our uncle wants to sell his car to his nephew. So he should tell clearly which car he is going to sell. He wants to sell some Maruti Desire. So whether that Desire is white color, blue color, gray color, that should be specified very clearly. Otherwise, the contract becomes void and unenforceable. You cannot enforce the contract. Next is possibility of performance. Dear viewers, whatever terms of the contracts are made, they should be possible for performance. Impossibility of performance makes the contract void. Here I am taking the example of a person who is lying on the floor. He is dead in reality. His wife is panicked and she is calling the doctor. On the other side, you can see a tantric, and the tantric has come to her and he said that he is going to put life in the dead body of her husband, provided if the wife gives him 1 crore rupee. Here, this agreement is void agreement because life once gone from the body cannot re-enter the body except if it is given by God. So giving life and taking life is in the hands of God. We cannot take out our life. I cannot commit suicide because it is the crime under section 309 of CRPC and it is punishable. Now let us go to the other slide. Agreements expressly declared to be void. Dear viewers, these are the 5 agreements which are not enforceable by law, even if they possess all the essentials of a valid contract. So what are those agreements? Agreement in restraint of lawful marriage. Restraint means stopping a person. So here about lawful marriage, restrictions are put. So dear viewers, marriage is a sacramental bond between two souls, right? Marriages are made in heaven. Every person has a right to choose their life partner. Every person has a right to marry the one whom they love. So here, you are not supposed to restrain a person from getting married, but you can restrain a person, a minor, in getting married. So if you restrain a minor, nothing is wrong. But if you restrain a major person from getting married, then it is a void agreement. And this restraint may be either complete restraint or it may be partial restraint. Whatever is the restraint, that restraint is unlawful, it is void. Let us take one example. Now Mr. Sunil, let us take the example of Mr. Sunil is in love with Mr. Swati, and Mr. Sunil is telling Mrs. Swati that you are not supposed to marry anyone in this world other than me. So he is restraining the right of Swati in choosing her life partner in marrying. So this restraint is a complete restraint. Now let us take the example of a mother and a child. A mother is telling to his son, son, you take the name of any woman in this world. I don't have any objection. You can marry anybody in this world. I do not have any objection. But you are not supposed to marry that particular girl named Vani. So you are not supposed to marry Vani, but you can marry anybody. Here the mother is partially restricting the right of marriage of that boy. So whatever restriction it might be, it is void. Then comes agreement in restraint of lawful trade. Dear viewers, we all know that the Constitution of India has given us a right to trade and commerce under Section 19, Clause 1, Subclause G. So you can trade, you can carry on your business anywhere in India from Jammu Kashmir to Kanyakumari without any restrictions. And no one has that restriction to stop. No one can restrain you from doing the business. However, there are certain exceptions to this. Once if we enter into these chapter, we will discuss in detail. Then comes agreement in restraining of legal proceedings. Dear viewers, you do not have a right to stop some person going to the court for the sake of justice. Right, we have four types of rights given by the Indian Constitution. If your right is deprived, you can go to the constitutions and get back your rights. So here, in case of breach of contract, if the aggrieved party wants to go to the court, wants to knock the doors of the court, the other party has no right to stop them. So let us take the example of again two persons, Ram and Sunil. Ram has given 5,000 rupees to Sunil to be repaid after 1 month. After 1 year also, if Sunil is not repaying, then what Ram has done? Ram has made a telephonic call saying to Mr. Sunil that, Sunil, if you are not going to pay me my 5,000 rupees, I am going to file a case against you. Now what Sunil has done? Sunil became very panicked. He said, okay, boss, I have to give you 5,000 rupees. I will give you 10,000 rupees, provided you should not file a case against me. So here, Sunil is restraining the right of Mr. Ram in filing a case. So you should not do like that. If any agreement is made, in restraining the legal proceedings, then it is a void agreement. Then agreement, the meaning of which is uncertain. Whatever agreement we are making, that should be very clear. The meaning of that contract or agreement should be very clear. Let us assume I have two daughters, Sita and Geeta. I want to give one of my daughter to Krishna. So I have to clearly explain which daughter I am going to give to Krishna. Yes, I want to make Krishna as my son-in-law. So I have to tell him very clearly whether I am giving the hand of Geeta to him or I am giving the hand of Sita to him. Then agreement by way of wagers and bettings. Dear viewers, wagering contracts are the contracts which depend upon the uncertain events. So there are certain exceptions to this, like horse races are not considered as void. So when we enter into the chapter, we'll learn about this. Now, the last one is legal formalities. The contract should be drafted properly, registered, stamped by both the parties, signed by both the parties. An oral agreement is not enforceable by law. So when we are entering into contract, we have to write the terms of the contract very clearly. Both the parties should do their signature and it has to be properly stamped. So if you are not doing this, the contract is not valid, and mere oral agreements are not valid in the court of law, because भैया जबान कभी भी पलट सकती है. So this was about our today's class. So thank you so much for listening to my class. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat. Dear viewers, I even want to say that whatever contents I am telling, these are from my books. So my book is in process. Once if it gets printed, I'll share you the name of the publication, and all my YouTube classes are at free of cost. And I'm going to complete the entire syllabus of business law. Thank you so much. Once again, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.